Joey. Michelangelo Mania's taking a break today. It's gonna be me. Me. Who do you want to see? Joey.
Anyway, hello. You gotta shut up.
Okay.
But I've been on the road a lot. Oh, there's Carrie Conrad, a lifelong friend. Hello, Carrie. There's Denny Masako. I saw Roxanne earlier. Want to do a few shout outs. Hello, how are you? Yeah, hey, Denny, how are you? Anyway, it's great to be back, Donna. I love doing these live streams, and this year I finished 2 + 2 is Metal 4 minus Metal 1, Metal 3. I have finished 3 tours this year, and it's still not over. I'm going back to Europe in a couple weeks for some private music industry business, and then just a couple days, then I come back. And then I'm going to LA for a couple of weeks with Sawtooth, and then I'll meet up with the Manowar guys, and we're going to do some pretty interesting things. Very interesting, but I'm not at liberty to divulge all that stuff. That's up to them. Anyway, yeah, hello from Mexico. I love going to Mexico. But I wanted to talk a little bit. You know, a lot of people had questions about these string dampeners. And so, you know, we thought today, Sawtooth redesigned them. You know, I have a patent on it, and, you know, I didn't come up with the actual idea of a string dampener. That was George Van Epps in the 1950s. But what I did is I did a better one. Oh, yeah. Hey, Nick, how are you? Yeah, and Dragon Force. Yeah. I'm looking at... I have a whole ton of questions coming in, so if it gets a little disjointed sometimes, it's because I have a monitor right in front of me. I can see, and I had my eyes done. I see like a 20-year-old now. I don't even need glasses anymore. It's crazy. Laser, yes. So I had him laser my eyes even bluer. Shut up, I don't got no eyes. I just got a mouth, and I can shred. So anyway, how do you see? I don't see. I play. Joey shreds. I'm the one who tells him what to do, and Robert is just sitting here mean. See, 24 hours a day, Robert's just mean. He just wants to shred. But I've been doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff. It's kind of a little insight to my life. After all these live shows, I've had to put together spreadsheets and things regarding music business, and that's what I've taken care of since I've only been off the road maybe, I don't know, a little less than 2 weeks, and just so much stuff going on, but I'm not complaining. Nick, a great friend of mine who's online here, mentioned Dragon Force. Dragon Force is on tour, and if any of you know, I'm really good friends with Herman Lee and, you know the band. And so anyway, I played with them on stage the last time they were in Chicago. And I'm going to be playing on stage with them again. I was invited. It'll be at the House of Blues Friday, November 10th, and I'm going to be doing a guest appearance. We don't know which song yet. Herman was saying they're working all that out, but, you know, he has a lot of guests in different cities, but I'm from Chicago, and I live in Chicago, and that's where I'm going to be doing it. It's going to be pretty fun. And, oh, thank you. Somebody said Manowar's best guitarist ever. You know, the thing with Manowar, you know, I know there's several past guitar players, you know, and they like to post and they like to comment and, you know, and they like to talk about Manowar. Manowar's bigger than ever right now. And, you know, at first people said, oh, Michael, you're not doing the solos. But, you know, I felt I'm a named guitar player. I can do the way I want. And Joey and Eric never said, oh, Mike, we want you to play it a certain way. But as I've realized, too, you know, I was a fan of the band before I was even in the band. But, you know, I'm the permanent guitar player. You know, I did the recording to, you know, the song Immortal. That's me on guitar. And, you know, it's a classic now. And I played the solo. And, you know, Joey's a great producer. He produced these solos. So, you know, I don't think that the guitar players, you know, in the past just went in and ripped on these solos. That's not the way it works. Joey's the producer. He's the one who structured these solos and put them all together. But I really feel connected to the music. Joey and I have a very parallel kind of life. You know, I'm not equating myself with Manowar and the success they had as a band versus my solo career, but he did it on his own. Him and Eric did it the way they wanted to do. And it doesn't, think about all the different guitar players they've had. It really hasn't mattered. They still continue to have platinum records and hits and hit songs. So it's really Joey's vision and Eric being an integral part of this two-man thing. But I feel really close to the music because I grew up in the era. We like a lot of the same things. And I really found my place, because when a named person comes in, it's like Paul Rodgers going into Queen. Is he going to sound like Freddie Mercury? No, but he was accepted. And what I did was I learned a lot of the solos from the past. The entire set now, every single song, I pay homage to the past solos, and I add a little bit of my own. Even in the song Battle Hymn, that's 99%, or Hail and Kill. I still add a little bit of my own. So, but you have to pay homage to the music. So I've kind of found the slot. Let's see. But thanks, Carrie. And but anyway, Mad War is just so much fun to play. I love the music. I love the people in the band. The organization is fantastic. And I'm true metal. I live the way I play. When I tell you about Speed Kills, that's people ask me all the time, well, what do you really practice?
I practice the stuff on Speed Kills.
I mean, Joey, we sit there just before Adam's here, good friend and former student, great guitar player. He's always here working the video and doing the technical stuff. I warm up to the very stuff I play. And that's the thing that I love so much about Manowar, that they are the real deal. Joey's the real deal. Eric's the real deal. There are no pre-recorded Eric vocals. Are you kidding me? There's no way, because he does, and it's a real show. And, we played 2 hours in elevations over 2 miles high, 2 different cities just recently. We just killed it. It's just so much fun for me. And I truly love and relate to the music. And also, I understand what the fans meant. You've got to play the solos, certain parts exactly the way the record, but I get enough spots to shine so that it's Michelangelo Badia playing them, and I really love it. Okay, someone said they're practicing this freight train show. Hey, JD, how are you? Any tips for the slippery sweeps? They're chromatic. And see, I thought in the key of G to do D minor to E minor, it's not every single note, but it's kind of in the key. That's why I played it. I just think, the tempo is 200 BPM. Now, a lot of people today,
I can play 300, I can play 800, I can play 12,000 BPM, I can play so fast that when I'm finished with the riff, it was yesterday.
And so you can change the time and space continuum. You can play so fast, like Superman in the first movie. He revolves around the air so much he goes into the past. Well, that can happen. The shred can overcome you. But in order to practice Freight Train, here's what I would say. That solo is 99% worked out. I play it slightly different now, but when I played it in concert with Nitro, we always used the click tracks of the album. That was 200 BPM. In today's world, a lot of people can play 200 BPM, but try playing that particular solo in 200 BPM. It's hard. So what I suggest is just take the arp slow. It's D minor, E flat, or D sharp, the enharmonic equivalent. Somebody said they're a little different. That's a whole other thing. I just saw this thing. Arias D sharp is slightly different than E flat. E flat's a little sharper. Okay, but that would not make any mathematical sense with our tonal system. That's a whole other thing. The enharmonic equivalent, D sharp is E flat. Done deal. If anybody says differently, they are doing what a lot of people do nowadays in music theory. They're using a hybrid, using different words. It's not classical harmony. It's not classical theory. It's not based on mathematics as we've known it, the well-tempered clavier. Not, equal temperament or, these different words. It was very specific. So anyway, it's D minor, D sharp or E flat, minor, E. And you just go back straight up, straight down. What I used to do literally is I'd practice it over and over, and it's the basic arpeggio shape. So what I would do, now I have, somebody asked me if I would say happy birthday to Nash. Happy birthday, Nash.
Happy birthday, Nash!
He just said happy birthday too. So you had all three of us. But getting back to the freight train thing, and like I said, I'm answering questions, and is it possible to fix my left-hand thumb position? I'll answer that question. But getting back to freight train, it's like when I studied French. Écoutez et répétez. Listen and repeat. There's nothing like repetition to ingrain something in your head. And, I've talked about this before. I approach playing fast from two directions. The crash and burn direction, where you play faster than you're capable to get the feel of speed, to feel the need for speed. And then you practice slow and faster and faster and faster. But, with freight train, it's just blistering. And I'm glad somebody mentioned that, because we are releasing an acoustic version of freight train that it's about when we didn't use a click, but it's Joe, one of the main owners of Sawtooth, Joe Fuco. He's fantastic on cajones. Then we had Nils, our bass player, playing bass, me on guitar. And then what I did is we recorded live two parts. So I did the rhythms first, then we went back and recorded, on video. You can see it, the lead. And it was about 198, 199, moving up to 201, back down a little bit. So I played a lot of the solo on acoustic an octave lower than it was on the record. And I couldn't continue 100% because there just weren't enough frets when you're playing low versus high. But I got the essence of it, and it is blistering. And I showed an excerpt where it's the chromatic scale, where I did all the harmonies on the original Nitro record. I didn't do any harmonies. I just played it chromatically, and it blew up online. It's well over 500,000 views already, and we just released it a couple weeks ago. So you'll be seeing that. Anyway, as far as the string dampeners, now there was a question. Let's see. What was that? Did you see that question, Adam? I lost it. Yeah. Oh, somebody asked about thumb position after 15 years. Can you change it? Yeah, is it possible to fix my left-hand thumb position after playing for 16 years? Well, it's possible to change anything at any time if you have control over it. Do you have control over your thumb?
I got control over my thumb. My thumb is an integral part of the way that I talk and play.
Now, Joey, let me tell you a few disciplines of the thumb. One, if you're going to be a blues guy and vibrato, the best way to vibrato is thumb over the neck product. I mean, how many classical guitar players vibrato bending notes? One, you can't because of the strings, but two, it's not really relevant for the music. It's not innate for that music. So to vibrato, see how my thumb is behind the neck? See how it goes over the neck when I play? One of the things you can do to adjust your thumb position actually has nothing to do with your thumb. Now look what I do. When I was younger, I didn't really use a guitar strap to sit down, and I used to sit down different ways because I just didn't think about it. Well, now I think about it a lot. For many years, I've thought about it. I have a footstool that I'm using, Chromacast one, and so my foot rests on a footstool like a classical guitar player. I put the guitar on my left leg like a classical guitar player, and I angle the guitar upward. Watch Van Halen when he used to do all the tapping. How do you think I got the idea for the angles of the double guitar? That's my invention. There's some guy named John Otway. I've never heard of him in a million years. All of a sudden, he's come out of the woodwork saying he invented it. No, he didn't. He did not. He can say, I'm older. He didn't invent it before me. I was the first one to do it. And, I don't get mad about it, but it's like, how come in 40 years of doing this guitar, I'd never heard this person's name, and all of a sudden, he's the man to do it. And, because when I got in Manowar, some people, I guess, that are Manowar fans knew about this guy. Steve, I never heard of him. I'd never heard of him. Nobody's heard of this person. So, you could be the greatest bedroom guitar player in the world, but, you might have can say, hey, I tapped before Randy Rhoads and Eddie. Well, really? Okay, great. We're happy for you, but who made it happen? And so, but anyway, getting back to this, and the reason I'm saying this is this whole idea was one of the ideas I got for my double guitars, to put them on angles. This is a very calculated and thought out thing. It was a lot of intense engineering. So, it's easy for someone to build a Hart guitar when you already have something to look at. Steve Vai already had mine to look at. So yeah, he can put 18,000 necks on a guitar, but it's still basically this. It's that V shape, and there's a reason for that. One, you can change the position of your thumb by changing the position of how you're holding the guitar. What angle is the guitar at? Watch. If I move my guitar down here, it's a little harder to play with my thumb behind the neck. You want to play with your thumb behind the neck and perpendicular, basically parallel to the frets, okay? So when you move your hand upward, your hand naturally wants to be like this, okay? Think about walking. So when you move your neck upward like this, you are naturally, and it's going to be a lot easier to shift your thumb position. So that was a brilliant question, actually. Yeah, Nick, you said that John Otway. I don't even know I never heard of him before. But, and you know what, more power to this person. But, don't come and say, oh, I've got a guitar in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I'm the acknowledged inventor of it from the Cleveland Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So, come on already. All right, give it a rest, the people from Otway. So anyway, getting back to this, you change the position of your neck. Move it upward a little bit. Look at how good the hand positioning is when you use your guitar in an angle. This is why I use a strap when I'm sitting down. See, if I stand like this, my guitar's on an angle. Watch when I play a lot. See, I angle my guitar. I angle it upward because it allows me to have superior hand position when I play. So to answer the question, I'm like this. If somebody can answer it in 1 minute, I'm going to answer it in 20, because I got two guys in my head besides me. I got me, and then I've got Joey. Come on, I'm the star. Me, I. Why do you think he's Joe E? He wanted to become a rapper. He wanted to be the first shred hip-hop artist ever. I'm like, shut up, Joey. Joe E, not Joey. J-O-E-E. Joe E. E stands for Enigma. No, it doesn't. Shut up. It stands for because he wanted to say E. That's all. And so, but anyway, I've thought a lot about every little detail. Like, I loved Rick Beato's interview with Yngwie. Adam and I were talking about this, where he said he never thought about how he held a pick until he went to Japan and somebody asked him. But he was a super young guy, too. I'm like 180 degrees different. Now, Yngwie's one of my all-time faves. So, same with Steve Vai, so I'm not criticizing him. But I came from a different place. I analyzed this stuff when I was a teenager. And it's one of the reasons why my accuracy and my skill is so high, because I wanted to know the science of all this stuff. I'm just an analytical guy. I have an engineering mind. I just do. I try to figure out how things can work and how to bring things to fruition, including my picking technique. But, as far as thumb position, I learned a long time ago. I worked very hard on my vibrato. If people want to call, some younger guitarists, it's the boomer vibrato. Proudly, baby. I'm proud to say it. I'll have that boomer vibrato every day of the week. Just like when everybody was criticizing shred in the early 90s. Oh, you're a shredder. Shred is more popular than ever, and I took the mantle back then too. I don't care what people call it. I do not. I care about being able to express what I want to express in a musical way on my own terms. I worked very hard on my vibrato. I have different types of vibratos, different. Sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's slow. If you watch videos of me when I had a faster vibrato, but even back in the old Holland days and Nitro, even on I did a really killer vibrato. I love vibrato. No violinist in the history of violin, if you're 10 years old or you're 80 years old, would ever criticize vibrato on a violin. Only guitarists, only us, the exalted ones, the ones that we have a higher opinion, that we are somehow elevated from the rest of the peons of the world. I just don't subscribe to that stuff. Vibrato is a technique. It's a feel. I love it. Hey, if somebody doesn't want to use it, don't use it. I don't care. Doesn't bother me. But don't criticize the ones who do. And so, getting back to this technique of the thumb or picking or how you hold a pick, watch my instructional programs. I've got, over a dozen of them. Speed Kills. The reason why they're so good is I went in detail about this stuff. And it's a learned technique. I spent a lifetime learning this so you didn't have to. You can and you don't have to agree with everything I say. Never once have I said, oh, this is the way. What I said is that this is the way I do it. And this is based on my experience watching other famous guitar players and making observations time and time again of what's important, what isn't important. That's key, because if you focus on what's not important, you're wasting time. Whereas if you watch my instructional programs, and there's a lot of good ones. There's a lot of great teaching. Guitar players are better now than they've ever been. So I'm not criticizing that. What I'm saying is that my methodology focuses on the core. It's like a laser beam. The pick. What do you do with it? The exercises. Why? Everything is concise. It's in your face. And it works because I made studies. I watched all these different guitar players, from Al Di Meola, John McLaughlin, to Eddie Van Halen, to Jimmy Page, even watched Jimi Hendrix, although I wasn't old enough to ever see him in concert, just videos. But it's so amazing now, the technology that we have that young people can play. Let's see now. Anyway, let's get back to the. Now, I was talking about the string dampener, and somebody wrote, as so other players have their own magic as well. Absolutely, that's the idea. And the idea of my programs was never to tell a person what magic they're supposed to get out of this. My programs are designed for specifically one thing: to show you the techniques. How you use them is up to you.
How you use them is up to you.
And then people say, dude, man, you said you were going to give me the keys to the Lamborghini. I didn't get the keys. No one gave me the keys. I thought long and hard about this. I gave you the keys. It's up to you to drive the car. So anyway, now, let's see. Do you use other fingers behind to support string bends? Good question, John. Yes. What he's saying is that when you bend, like if you're going to bend with your third finger, you just use your third finger? No. See, I use a fretboard muting technique. What I mean by that is if I'm going to vibrato with my first finger, here's what I did. Watch. You hear that? I block the string above it and below it. See, watch. I'm going to use a clean saw. I am strumming 4 strings right now. But you only hear 1. Because I call it fretboard hand muting. See that? That's I am vibratoing the 3rd string, 7th fret. My first finger blocks the 2nd string and the 4th string, and then I can use my picking hand to help it. So what I do is if I vibrato with my 2nd finger, what? Above it? Below it? No, we are at a harmonic. So it gets close. Let's put it right here. See, you're always close to a harmonic. So if I vibrato with my 2nd finger, I use my 1st and 2nd. If I vibrato with my 3rd finger, I use my 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Or sometimes not as much with my 1st. If I use my 4th finger, which I do a lot because I'm left-handed. Look at my hand position. All fingers, 2, 4, 3, and 2, and 1 is blocking things out. Now the beauty of this is it happens naturally, and this is, again, what I touched upon earlier about what's important and what's not important. When you do things correctly, when you do things that are ergonomic, there's a word in music, idiomatic. I've talked about this. Idiomatic means what's comfortable, what works on your specific instrument. For example, what's idiomatic to a flute, to play on a flute, is not idiomatic to a guitar. But the flute and the clarinet are very similar in their fingerings. So what's idiomatic to a flute can be idiomatic to a clarinet. Now, these are things I learned in school. Okay, but when you play the guitar and you keep your hand in a position with the neck slightly elevated on an angle, and you just use your other fingers, you're going to find that it just works naturally in a correct way. And again, remember, there's no hard and set rules. But what I found and what I teach is that the majority of great players have tendencies that we all have that are the same. And there are obviously differences, a lot of differences. There are more differences than similarities. But the similarities, although few, are super important. So if you follow that, it's a pretty good roadmap for you to say, well, hey, man, Joe Bonamassa does it, Eric Johnson does it, Steve Vai does it, Yngwie Malmsteen does it, John Petrucci does it. So it's a pretty good idea that I should do it too. Why not? You know, they're pros, they're top pros. And I fall into that category. Now, there's a couple different picking techniques, too, to be exact. Variations of 2. But, you know, again, I made a science of this. Okay, let's see. Somebody wrote, Michael, if you find your, no rules, just guidelines. That's a good way. Okay, Michael, if you find yourself without a whammy bar on the guitar, but you feel the urge for a dive bomb or a massive bend, what do you do?
Nothing. What are you supposed to do?
You know, it's like, yes, I feel the need to have a stick shift on guitar or on a car.
But your car's an automatic transmission.
I know, but I feel the need.
I want that stick.
Well, you don't got it, so shut up. So here's my rule about that. If I really feel the need for a wang bar and I don't have one, I'm out of luck. I don't use it. Like in No Boundaries, when I was with Dean a long time ago, and just like I went, I used to go, ooh, but when I didn't have a wang, I just, or I didn't have 29 frets, or I didn't even have 24. So when I so instead of using the frets, what I did was I worked within the context and the limitations of whatever that instrument presented to me. So I don't think that I tried to make up for a wang bar. And I know I'm goofing around. I'm being kind of facetious when I say this, but it's like, if you don't got it, you don't got it. I mean, if your speedometer in your car only goes up to 60 miles an hour or 100 kilometers an hour, they're both the same, and you want to go 120, what are you going to do? Blow up the engine? You get another car! That's what you do! Or put a new engine in it. So the answer to the question, when I don't have a locking trem, I don't use it. I play things without it. Instead of doing dime hammers, I'll play a note. Sometimes I'll just do a harmonic. You just you make do with what you have. Do you read sheet music? I read music. Sometimes it comes in sheets. Sometimes it comes in now on my phone. So the answer to your question, yes. In fact, when tablature's been around for centuries. We all know that. And the pundits, if I say it was only established starting in the 80s, I'm going to hear it. But if you look at guitar books from the 70s, Don Mock, Joe Pass, I have some in my other room I can show you. There's no tablature. So whatever some elitist says, tablature on guitar was not established until the 80s. That doesn't mean it wasn't invented. It means we didn't use it as a way to write out music for the guitar. But, even back in the day, I realized tablature is amazing because I used to give students a book called The Higher Frets, where you would learn in the first, the third. But think about it. This E is this E, that's this E, that's this E, that's this E, that's that E. So how many different ways can a guitarist play the same note? Many. So tablature was a way of weeding out all the BS. It told you exactly where to play the note you wanted to hit. Because, when I had my Joe Pass book or Don Mock and all this stuff, I had, or like Charlie Parker and, all these books in the 70s that were used for guitar, there was no tablature. So, and they didn't show position markings either. See, you used to be able to put like a 2 or a 5 or a 7 and mark positions to give you an idea of where the tab was. Not tab, but where you were supposed to lay your fingers. But a lot of people didn't do that. So you had an extra added dimension to figure stuff out.
Where the heck do I play this? Hey, what do I do? Radio, I need your help. Shut up, Joey.
And so it was like,
where do I play? Where?
Even in Blackbird, for example, when I figured out Blackbird, I went. Now, note-wise, it's perfect, and I thought it was super easy because it made sense in my brain to watch these two parts work together, but that's not how McCartney plays it. He plays a something something like that. And I've watched him play, and I love that song so much, but I figured it out on my own by ear. I didn't have a songbook, though I didn't see a songbook that had Blackbird in it, and I figured it out only a few years after the album was released. I was a kid still. So tablature is just such a wonderful way to weed through the BS. But even if I did learn the McCartney way, I still like this better. And it's his song. I'm not trying to steal it, but I have my own interpretation of it. Okay, let's see. Oh, yeah. Hey, Rob, how are you? Rob Ross. I want to say hi to Rob Ross is my best friend, and we did a series of songs together, 2.5 minutes of absolute shred to the max. Our working title for the project is Mike and Rob Go Nuts, and his granddaughter Daniela. I'm going to say hi to Rob. Rob's going to be on the show next week, but we did 5 so far. And the whole idea was to take like two-part song forms. For example, one of my songs. So what we did was we took parts of my songs and made them into two-part song forms. And the idea was you have this bed going on, so you have the rhythm going, everything's right in time. But then Rob and I just went ballistic. And Rob is really great at like splitting beats, like thinking, okay, well, you're in 4/4 where I can play in 5, or, it's really polyrhythmical. So we're going to start releasing that, but Rob's going to be on our show next week. Anyway, but yeah, this song is called The Jam Game. Then we also did like... And then we had in So we had to do, and it's really fun. And, we filmed it. It's live in your face. You can't cheat on this stuff. And it's just going to be really great. And so I saw Rob here, and Adam pointed it out. Now, I haven't talked too much about the string dampener, but I'm going to just tell you, these things really work. Listen to that. Somebody wrote, how many guitars do I have? 253 and counting. There's still more, but they're not even at home because I have stuff stored with Manowar too. So this is what the string dampener does. Sawtooth ChromaCast, we re-engineered and upgraded some of the parts. It is to keep it, because the original string dampeners in today's money, we priced out the USA version now $150 for a string dampener. To get it handmade in the USA. It used to be $89 before COVID, but let's face it, everything has risen 20 to 40 to 50% across the board. Inflation's not 4 or 5%. There's no way. It's 20%, 30%, 40%. Go out to a restaurant now. It's hard not to spend $70 to $100 for two people now. You go to a decent restaurant. Before, I remember when my mom was alive, and in 2017, we could go to a place for 30 or 40. It's double. So, and it's not politics. I'm not talking about that, or trying to talk about the state of the world. I'm just saying that things are so expensive now compared relative to what they were before COVID. It's insane. So what we decided to do is we wanted to give you the best value that we could. And so we upgraded some of the parts, but still kept the price super reasonable. This is the best value you can get. If you have capos, if you have slides, if you have things in the studio, this is a great tool to use to play. See, for example, if you're going to do See, it blocks. Teach me how the professional music theory can sign me and play in the spotlight. Music industry. Oh, okay, that's good. Anyway, well, McDonald's is $15 around here to get a Big Mac, large fries, and a large Coke. But I drink Diet Coke if I even drink it at all. It's almost $15. So, hey, it wasn't that way in 2020. And again, it's not, whose fault is it? I don't know. Just the way of the world. I mean, gas was 40 cents in the 70s, so, things go up. It's just the way it is. So I'm not blaming or, talking about anything. I'm just saying what we decided to do, because we were really thinking about having this super high-end string dampener, but the price is so out of the market, out of the ballpark. So we said, okay, let's upgrade the ones we have And so we re-engineered a couple things, still keeping, and these string dampeners are awesome. And they're really cost effective. You can get it at ChromaCast, and if you use MAB 20, you can get 20% off. So somebody wrote money sucks. Well, it sucks without money, so what are you going to say? I mean, winter sucks too, but you got to deal with it. A lot of things suck, but the idea is to overcome what sucks to make it less sucky. So anyway, okay, hail from New Zealand. Let's see. But I just, want to say that, I really enjoy these live streams. And I know that I talk a lot, but my instructional programs don't. And if you go to my YouTube page or go to Instagram or even here, you can see tons of videos. I've got so much musical content out there so that, because I want to kind of give you the world according to Mikey, because see, a lot of doing something in life is just how your brain approaches it. It's like somebody says money sucks. I can agree with you. A lot of ways it sucks. Can you show us a cool 5-string sweep arpeggio? Well, I mean, this is there's a 6-string, but if you I played a 5-string, then I ended with 6. They're all on my instructional programs. Drink, you be skinny. No, I don't drink Diet Coke. I was just saying if I drink a Coke, I would drink Diet, but it's not even good for you. None of that stuff's good. And so, I love this. Everything is way better when it's less sucky. Yes, and the goal in life is to make sucky things less sucky. So that's where I come in. A lot of it is here. There's an old saying that if you think you can or you can't, you're right either way. And so, for example, like Rob, he'll be here next week. He's got these great sayings. Believe it or not, when I was in Nitro working out all the time, that Gold's Gym t-shirt? I wasn't kidding around. I was a pencil neck, but I was ripped. I had ripped abs. There's pictures online. I just wasn't genetically big. But again, people were thinner back then than they are today. So when you saw me back then, I looked more muscular because I was toned compared to other people. You look back, it's easy to look at 1991 through the 2023 lens, but the key is to look at 1991 to try and understand the lens from 1991. And so, but what I did was, I worked out, I kept in shape, and I had the mindset, because if you want to change something about yourself, there's a workout principle that I live by: know your own body. And so, if you smoke and you know it's bad for you, well, don't lie to yourself and say it's not bad. Just accept the fact that you're going to do it. But Rob, what I was doing, there was a shoulder exercise where you take the weights like this, straight up, straight down. I was doing pretty heavy weight for my weight. Now, I'm 182 centimeters, 6 feet tall. I was only, during Nitro, 142 pounds. Think about that. I was real skinny, but everybody was thinner back then. And so there were, look at in the 60s, Jimi Hendrix, or old pictures of Black Sabbath or the Beatles in the early days. Everybody was thin, and they weighed a lot less. I don't know why. Maybe we ate less, but I don't even remember that. I don't have an answer. All I know is this. I used to do this exercise. It cuts your shoulder. I had actually dislocated my wrist and played like that from about 1990 to 2007. So for 17 years, literally, I played with the dislocated wrist. And I used to tell Rob, who will be here next week, I go, it used to hurt like heck. If I did this, it was like, it hurt like, but see, my picking hand moved so little in my wrist, it never affected anything. I never had tendonitis. I still don't. I have nothing wrong. And so when I got engaged in 2007, I'm still friends with my ex-fiance. She's a doctor. And so she told me, I would tell her. And when I told Rob this, I go, Rob, it hurts when I do that. And he goes, well, then don't do it. Duh. And it's kind of like, okay, I want to put my thumb behind the neck. Well, then put it behind the neck. So it's not that hard. It's common sense. my ex actually went like this. She goes, "Did you know your wrist was dislocated? Is dislocated?" I go, "No way." I go, "How can I play guitar like I do?" She goes, it's not." And she did this. I go, "Ah!" And she goes, "Does it affect the way you play? Does it hurt?" I said, "No, never." And so she actually went like this. She took two thumbs away, and I heard, and it popped back into place. I'm like, "Oh my God, that's amazing." And then it popped out again, like a few minutes later, and I'm like, "Ah, ah, ah, ah." Robert was like, "Air the pain," but he wasn't saying anything. He was thinking, "Pain, pain, pain." And so she did it again. Like, it didn't sound like that. No, it didn't sound like that, guys. So anyway, and girls, anyway, it went like, and I heard, and it popped back in, and it's never popped out since. But Rob is right. It's like somebody said, like during COVID, and everything was shut down, a lot of people drank a lot. And I told Rob one day, I said, "Rob, I'm sitting here at the house and I'm not playing, I'm not going out." I said, I've had a couple, I've been drinking like a beer or two at night. That's not usually like me because I hardly drink at all. And he goes, "Well, then don't drink." He's right. Okay, I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not I don't do any drugs and nothing. I don't smoke. But he's right. Just don't do it. It's discipline. It's self-discipline. So a lot of what I talk about in these live streams is the world according to Mikey, Joey, and Robert, because you can look at my audio and visual, video, music, and content anytime you want, 24/7. There's thousands of videos of me playing, not talking, but this, if it can shed a little bit of insight or make you feel, I can do this. This is a learned technique. You can get speed kills. Speed kills, I don't yak about, life, but these are life lessons that I'm talking to you about today. And what I've done in these live streams, it's methodologies. I mean, I'm in a huge heavy metal band right now, Manowar. We're an arena band. We play arenas and sell them out with no opening acts. Manowar doesn't even have opening acts in many of their shows. We sell it out on our own just inertia, on what Joey and Eric have done, the music that they have created along. Look, you can't deny the other guitar players that were in the band. I am not in any case, trying to slam them in any way. They were all great. Every one of them is a great player. And then each one had unique qualities and they were successful with every one. Okay, so there's something about Joey and Eric that they have going on. I love being a part of it. I feel like they're all brothers to me. I got on the band not because it just kind of worked out that way. Like it just worked, It's not like they were going, "Come on, Mike," and I was going, "Please, can I come in?" We all have our own careers, so it just works, and I'm proud to be in it. But when I tell you about this stuff, I'm coming from a place of getting off major tours, and I don't take any of this for granted. But I'm sincerely and genuinely trying to help you, and that's what I did in my instructional programs, and it works. I use it, and it's like with my nephew, Alex. I realized he lost his mom, okay, when he was 12 years old. So it was my sister. Okay, so my brother-in-law had to raise him alone. And then all of a sudden, his parents died. So now two of Alex's grandparents are gone. Then my mother dies. Now, he only had known my father for a little bit, so he grew up only having 3 grandparents. Everybody died. Okay, so he had a tough time. A 12-year-old kid, everybody close to him is gone. Our family went from pictures like this to me, my brother-in-law, and Alex, for the 3 amigos. And I said to myself, I go, I can't be his father, I'm his uncle. So what can I do? Can I sit and preach to him and talk to him? Talk is cheap. Anybody can talk. Anybody can criticize. I said, I'm going to show Alex that his uncle worked super hard. So he would come over, like when my mom was alive, he'd watch me record and play video games. He'd see how I did it. He saw his uncle work super hard. Him and my brother-in-law came to Istanbul for the Manowar show, and Manowar treated them like royalty. But it's easy to talk like I'm talking now, but these are life lessons that I've learned, and I show them to you in the instructional programs. Anyway, enough of this stuff. I've really enjoyed it today. I'm going to be jamming out next week. Rob's going to be here, And but I'm gonna play a lot. We're gonna, and then I love doing these live streams. There's a ton of them online already. But remember, practice, practice, practice. There aren't any shortcuts. And if you don't think I've given you the keys to the Lamborghini, I gave you the keys. But you have to drive the car. And remember,
Joey keeps working.
every night, even when I don't want to, at the end of the day, because there's so much of the music business that I have to do business, I always make time to practice. I'll fire up the gear here in my studio. I'll put on my drum programs, start at like 185, doing 16th notes, get up to like 240, 250, and then I'm warmed up. And then I can put it into light speed. But I practice still, and I love it, just like I loved it when I was a kid. I'm still like a little kid when it comes to playing music and guitar. I absolutely love it. So anyway, that's about it. I just want to say this. Anybody out there can do it. If you think I talk too much here, great. It's okay. But if you get speed kills in my instructional programs, they go right to the point, and I'm not a judge or a jury or an executioner. I just tell you the techniques, and there's no bias. I love all the techniques, from bends to vibratos to hammers and pulls to economy to legato to alternate picking. To me, they're all the same as far as importance, because there might be a day when you need one of those. And if you don't have it, it's like what I always say, it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. So I'm Michelangelo Badia for Sawtooth Guitars, ChromaCast,